to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Red, Orange, and Blue podcast. I'm your host, the Mex-Canadian, and I once again apologize for this episode being late. I had audio problems trying to get this whole thing started, and then some other minor things that didn't allow me to do this throughout the day. So we are going to get into, on this episode, we're going to get into the Red Wings a lot this episode, the trade deadline as well. There's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot of hockey news once again because there's really no other sport on for Detroit that's really worth talking about. There is some stuff about the Tigers that I'm not going to get into because it's pretty minor, largely because it's just spring training. Except for Javier Baez, I don't think still has hit a single thing in spring training, but that's besides the point. But yeah, this is pretty much just going to be the Red Wings again, and it's not been good. You guys probably know that by the title of this episode already, but the Red Wings are currently on a 5-game losing streak after coming off of a 6-game win streak. Yeah, and a lot of it stems from Larkin being out. Now, yes, they did lose, 3 going into these last few games, but come on, if one guy is going to make this much of a difference on your roster, then what are you even doing? Your roster's not constructed right, or the thing is, Larkin was relied upon, at least in my opinion, he was relied upon way too much for way too long in this entire rebuild to keep this team going, that when he's gone, the team just doesn't know what to do. Now, granted, nobody's been on this team longer than Larkin. Larkin is the only person left from the 2019 team, and those were some dark days. And it makes sense that they relied on him a lot because he was the only player worth a damn on those teams, but he cannot be continuously relied upon like this, especially when you've got depth scoring as it was. I mean, as of last night, Shane Gostisbehere became, I think, the 12th Red Wing to have 10-plus goals on the season. Like, you have that much goal scoring in your depth that you shouldn't need to rely on one guy to do it for you. You just shouldn't. And it's, like I said, it's indicative of how much this team relied upon him. And yes, they're building this team around him, Seider, and Raymond, but you cannot bring pieces just to support those guys. You have to bring in pieces that can step up and take the load off of them when they're out or even when they're in the lineup and not performing well. And this Wings team just hasn't done that. They have the pieces there. Guys like Perron, guys like even Raymond now. You've got Veleno, who stepped up to be the 1C in the Colorado game. You've got, there are so many other guys on this team that you can rely on, but it's just not happening. And we're going to see that once I get into the review of the week, because there was just nothing. So let's get into it, starting with the Colorado game. The Colorado game, Detroit ended up losing 7-2. In this game, I don't think they played bad, but they definitely didn't play particularly good either. It started off good. Fabry scored a minute and 48 into the game. It was deflected off of an Alex DeBrincat shot. Started off great, but then Cale Makar, who you'll hear a lot, 5 minutes in, scored, tied it up. Then Perron got a goal. That was the last goal Detroit would score, and Colorado just took over from there on. Cale Makar got a fucking hat trick because, of course, he did against the Red Wings. There were some goals where the defense was just not there whatsoever. And Seider, I love Seider. I love him so much. But, oh my God, did he have a bad game. He did. Jesus, did he have a bad game. It was so bad. And I don't understand why all of a sudden our defense is just collapsing all of a sudden. Is it just because the pieces there are unstable, or is it just a lack of faith in one another all of a sudden? I don't know what it is. I cannot pinpoint it. Me, with all of my incredibly expert years of playing defense, yes, I played defense for 20 years, but I'm not an expert at the NHL level by any means. But I cannot pinpoint the reason why this defense just died. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you go from playing as good a defense as you did during your 6-game win streak to this? It doesn't make any sense. And the goal scoring, where the fuck the goal scoring go? I don't know where the goal scoring went. Somebody please tell me where the fucking goal scoring went, because I would like to know where it went. It just amazes me how this team can just, boom, flick a switch, and they're back to last year's late team again. It doesn't make sense. And I don't know if it's coaching. It shouldn't be coaching, because they're doing the same stuff they were doing the 6-game win streak. Is it... I don't know. I don't know. I cannot pin that. Like, the only reason I can think of is coaching, because there's no other logical explanation for how this team just dropped in play quality wise. Like, it was bad, and in this game in particular, I seen a lot of people throwing the blame online. It was not his fault. The dude got shelled for like 50 shots before he got taken out of the game. Like, it's insane. He did everything he possibly could to keep his team in the game, and his team let him down time and time again. And I don't get it. It was the first game without Larkin in the lineup. At least I don't think Larkin was in the lineup. Yeah, because they went 11-7. So it was, I don't understand. Or no, they didn't go 11-7 against Colorado. I don't remember. Let me double check. I don't think Larkin was in this game, though. No, he wasn't. Yeah, so they did go 11-7. Yeah. Okay, had to double check that. But yeah, it doesn't make sense that this team just falters. It doesn't make sense that this team would just collapse in on itself like it did, and it doesn't make sense that it hasn't been fixed. Legitimately, it should be fixed at this point, and you're on a 5-game losing streak. Yes, sure, the Islanders game, you lost one after a 6-game win streak. That's fine. The Panthers game, the best team in the league right now, and they're likely going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, at least the most likely team to win the Stanley Cup. And, okay, fine, you get dominated by the best team in the league. Cool. Then you go into, what did you go into at that time? It was the Islanders, then Florida, then, who was it? Oh, that was the Colorado game. That was this Colorado game. I thought there was a game in between. But yeah, no, it was this game. And, okay, it's another, like, you didn't give an incredible effort in a game where you should have given your best effort. Because it's Colorado. You can't go in and play them like you played the Washington Capitals a few games ago and expect to come out a win. It's not going to happen. And Colorado made you pay for it. And then the saving grace, like, all right, you lost to Colorado. That's 3 in a row. Fine, Colorado is going to be a cup contender this year. You can break this streak right now against Arizona, and what the fuck did you give? You gave a Bush League Pee-wee level effort against the Arizona fucking Coyotes, who just came off of a 14-game losing streak and had won, 2 of their last 5 or something like that? I don't understand it. And this team has had a problem with playing down to their competition forever, but this was not playing down to their competition. This was just straight up not fucking playing. Like, you came out in the first period and just gave up immediately. You didn't give a shit. And you didn't give a shit the entire game, and it was blatantly obvious. Alex Lyon, again, gave you every opportunity to stay in this game, and you fucking blew it. Now, granted, Connor Ingram did decide to go Vezina caliber again like he did at the beginning of the season, but still, that wouldn't have been a problem if you had just put that much pressure on him from the beginning of the fucking game. Maybe you would have gotten a goal or two. I don't know, but it's possible. But what did you do? No, you went and came out onto the ice, and that was it. That was all you did. You were on the ice the entire time. And so I don't even think you were on the ice half the time. Physically, you were there. Mentally, nothing. Just fucking nothing. And it results in a 4-0 loss. That is what happened. This team went onto the fucking ice, and that is all they did. Didn't give a single flying fuck what happened afterwards. And it makes me manic, because this is such a good fucking team. We've seen it time and time again how good this team can be. But whenever Larkin goes out, dead. Whenever you go on a losing streak of some sort, dead. And it takes, like, I don't know what it's gonna take. I don't know what it takes to get you back. Like, it takes these longer breaks to get you back, I guess. Like, your team isn't that fucking old. Your team's like, what, got an average age of 27? Most of the people on your team are in their prime. And you give that Bush League effort? I got better effort when I was playing out of my team when I was playing in Pee Wee, for Christ's sake. Like, it was... We're at the point of the season where every game is a playoff game. This team had an 8-point cushion between them and the New York Islanders. And you know what happened right before I started recording? The Islanders won and pushed out the Red Wings from the playoffs. What are you going to do? What is this team going to do to make up to that? The Islanders have games in hand. It's impeccable to me that this team can find the worst possible times to just fucking implode. And I've got theories. I do have theories. One big theory that everybody knows about, but I'll get to that. So after this embarrassing, abysmal loss to the Arizona Coyotes, they seem to finally get their shit together against the Vegas Golden Knights. They lost 5-3. But they seem to finally get their shit together for the first 50 minutes. I would say the Red Wings borderline dominated this game. Like, they borderline just beat Vegas at every turn. But, like they have done this entire losing streak, they cannot finish it out. They give a Bush League defensive effort at the end of the stretch where you're tied 3-3. And what the fuck happens? Your defense dies on you. You put James Reimer in net. You scratched Jake Wallman. And what the fuck did that cause? A 5-3 win. Now, I'm not blaming Alon for scratching Wallman. Wallman's play hasn't been incredible as of late. You could say the same for most of the defense, honestly, but Jake Wallman, he's a top pairing guy. If you're going to send a message to the locker room, you take one of your top guys and you bench him and say, hey, nobody on this team is safe. If I'm benching one of our top pair D-men who have gotten us this far in the season, then I will be willing to bench almost everybody on this team, if not everybody. And it worked for most of this game. They played Vegas at Vegas's level, if not better than Vegas most of the time. But the critical mistake in this one, while yes, I know the defense just kind of went full-on potato pickle mode at the end there, you put James Reimer in net for this one. Oh, you put James Reimer in net for this one. Why would you put James Reimer in net against the Vegas Golden Knights? Yes, I understand that James Reimer has played good to great hockey in net his last few starts. Even in Colorado, when he came in for relief of Lyon, he played decently. But James Reimer is not a goaltender you play against the Vegas Golden Knights, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and a team who just spent big time in the trade deadline to get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs and finals. Yes, they're currently sitting in the second wild card spot in the West. Yeah, they haven't been playing fantastic hockey as of late. Before this game, they were on a 5-game home losing streak. But you still don't put Reimer in against them. You just don't. You put your best goaltender in, and your best goaltender, regardless of how well he's been playing, is still Alex Lyon. Alex Lyon beats out James Reimer every fucking day of the week. And, like, I get you maybe wanted to build Lyon's confidence again, playing him in Arizona, but how are you gonna... It didn't help when your team just gave up before the game started. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I am blaming Lalonde on that one, because James Reimer, the goalie that was one of the primary reasons that they are in the wild card spot, like, first of all, they should, if he wasn't so bad during December, then this team would be in the top 3 in the division right now, and if not, they would be in a healthy, firm, perfect wild card 1 spot. Like, could you imagine without that December where this team would be in the standings? They would be a bona fide playoff team. And it's just, I don't get it, dude. Like, I know that this team is technically still rebuilding. I know that this is good progress regardless of if we make the playoffs or not. This is a fantastic, successful year, as we'll be competing for the playoffs more than likely down the entirety of the rest of the year. It's going to come down to the wire. But, like, there are certain expectations. When you perform as well as the Red Wings have for most of this season, and this year they were one of the best teams. They were literally right behind Florida in records for this calendar year up until now. And when you have that kind of success with this team, then you have a certain expectation that is needed to be met every game. And if you're not meeting those expectations, well, I'm sorry, there's something wrong. Because a team doesn't just go from fantastic borderline juggernaut team to nothing in a matter of a week. Like, it just doesn't happen. You know, yes, some of your top teams in the league, the Rangers, the Bruins, the Vancouver Canucks, the Jets, you know, LA, Colorado, they all had their struggles this season. But the difference is they had good outings. Like, they still had good outings. It was, they never lost their spots. Their players still played like they should have. And it's just something that doesn't happen. Like, the difference is these teams got back on their feet and played like they gave a damn, and now they're back where they should be. Like, I mean, Vegas, you can argue, should be in the top 3 because they're the reigning defending Stanley Cup champions. But it's, I don't know, if you want to be a serious playoff team, you cannot just give up in a game against the Arizona Coyotes. And even in this game, like I said, the second half when they were tied, like, I don't put it all on Reimer. I put a lot of it on Reimer because he was directly responsible for at least 3 of those goals. Like, at least 2 of the 4 goals he allowed, he was directly responsible for. That first one was an absolute beefcake muffin. Like, it was, I'm so angry I'm making up words that contradict themselves. It was a muffin. It was almost exactly the resemblance of the Dallas goal he let in from the blue line. That was just a little shoot-in. That was basically a puck dump that he let in the Dallas game. And this was he's seen it all the way. And he had 2 strategies in this entire game. He had 2 strategies during that one play, in fact. He had 2 ways he could have done it. One, he could have prepared for a shot, which if you're a goaltender, if a player's coming at you, whether you got a defender or not, in front of you, helping you block it or helping pressure the guy, you either prepare for it and get down in the only possible, get into position so that way you have the best possible chance of stopping a shot, or you play the oh god I hope it hits me strategy, and he played the I hope it hits me strategy. Like, you don't play that card at that point. Any sensible, sane goaltender would know that. You don't just play the oh god I hope it hits me card unless you're screened. And he wasn't screened. He saw the dude coming at him the entire time. Like, Reimer has makes so many bad choices, and it kills me when people defend him after times like this, because, like, sure, does he deserve the benefit of the doubt after the last few great games he's played? Yes, he does. And he played good, great to fantastic in some of those games. But you cannot let that blind you to the fact that he was directly responsible for 2, if not 3, of the goals. The first one, he just didn't play properly. He didn't play, really. His reaction time was so bad. He played the oh god, please let it hit me fucking card. And it backfired on him, and it caused the Vegas Golden Knights to go up by 1. And then the goal that broke the tie that would have gotten the Red Wings at least a point was, like, that point would have kept the Red Wings in the playoffs right now, by the way. But the game, the third goal, the fourth goal that broke the tie was him directly not being able to hold a fucking rebound to save his life. Like, and that's been his thing all season. And I've said this for Lord knows how long. I've said it since we got him, essentially, and since I first watched him play on the team. If we wanted a goaltender that was just flailing in the fucking crease the entire time, and just couldn't hold a rebound to save his fucking life, we could have just kept Hellberg. He would have been cheaper and played the same exact role. Like, legitimately, that's all you had to do. You could have just re-signed Hellberg to a fucking league min two-way contract, essentially. Or hell, you could have just kept Nedeljkovic. Granted, we wouldn't have had Lyon, and I love Lyon, but still, you could have. There were so many different things. If you wanted Reimer, you could have just kept Hellberg. Like, bigger, and he's a Viking. Like, so much better than Reimer in so many different ways. And I've seen a lot of people get on me on Twitter and other people on Twitter by criticizing Reimer on this game, saying it was political reasons and stuff like that. It's not a political reason I'm criticizing him. It's because he legitimately just didn't play well. Like, yes, he made some good saves, and a lot of those saves were also directly because he could not hold a rebound to save his fucking life, but also, he still made the saves. Like, I'll give him total credit for that. Like, there were times in this game where he was able to fix his horrible rebound control mistakes and keep it close most of the time. But holy shit, like, part of me, and I can't help but play the what-if game, but part of me can't help but think, what if Lyon was in this game? Would it be the same score? Would it be a better score? Would it be a worse score? Like, would Lyon have been, like, I almost guarantee you Lyon wouldn't have missed that first save. Like, the third period, Vegas had 5 shots on net. Reimer let in 3 goals on that, I believe. Let me double check that, because I'm not 100% sure. Yes. Reimer, Vegas had 5 shots on net, and Reimer let in 2 of them. That's unusable. You cannot do that. If you're letting in 2 goals on 5 shots, that's not NHL. That's not an NHL goaltender right there. That's barely an AHL goaltender. Like, it just can't happen. And like I said, I like Reimer. He's been a solid backup while Husso's been out. But you can't carry this guy into the playoffs. You can't. We got to pray that Husso comes back and is still in his form. Like, cause I don't know what a lot of people seem to think that Husso still is just bad when all evidence shows that before he got injured again, he was playing his normal hockey. He was back to his form that he was at the beginning of last season. And I don't know, like, Reimer's not going to steal you playoff games. Reimer's probably not going to win you a playoff game. Like, in the playoffs, you can't have that bad of a rebound control and not expect it to go in every time. You just can't. And especially because if the Red Wings make the playoffs, they're going to be playing either the Florida Panthers or the Rangers. And both of those teams, Reimer doesn't stand a chance against them. Even if it's the Boston Bruins, Reimer doesn't stand a chance. Florida and Boston, they both are net crashers and will 100% take control of any rebound that Reimer gives up and probably capitalize on it. But, and I mean, with the Rangers, his reaction time and puck tracking is just way too bad to play against them. They are a fast and accurate team. So it's not a guy you can bring into the playoffs and expect him to win you something. You just can't. And yes, I know there are signs showing that Lyon's being overworked. Seen something on Twitter yesterday also that someone said Lyon's not being overworked. He's just, not playing well. And I beg to differ. Like, maybe you can probably make the argument that, yeah, he's not playing his best in net right now. But you can't just ignore the fact that he's played, quadruple the amount of games that not quadruple, that's like the entire season. He's played at least double, actually more than double, of his highest games played in a single season this year. Like, that's going to happen. And, Reimer can't be a starter. He's proved that this season. So I don't know what you do at this point. I genuinely don't. Like, Larkin being out has an impact on this team, and we've seen it earlier in December, but Larkin has an impact on this team that is too great for them to just overcome with their talent. Like, and I don't know if it's just because of the leadership he brings, which is probably a big part of it. A lot of people say Larkin shouldn't be captain, but just look at what happens to the team when he's gone. They fall apart. Like, his leadership, he drives that top line. He drives the entire team, essentially. And when he's gone, the team just looks lost. They don't know what to do. Like, I didn't realize how much this team needs Dylan Larkin to perform. And it's blatantly obvious now. Like, yeah, we've seen it in December, but in December there was also no Comfer, no Perron, and also no Lyon or Husso. So there was a lot of things working against them in December. But this is more obvious because it's just Larkin out. And with Larkin being the only one out right now, and this team just collapsing in on itself, there's something pretty wrong. And some people are saying it's Lalonde's fault, and maybe, but I don't know what else he could do. I don't know what else in the locker room he could do. Like, I'm sure he tries his best. I'm sure he does whatever he can to get the boys motivated. And I don't know what else more you can do. They're playing the same way that they did during their 6-game win streak, which could be a problem. Maybe teams are starting to catch on to it, so you got to switch it up a bit. And yes, they've played 3 games in 4 days, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know how you fix it. And no, for those of you who are just incredibly dumb, it is not fire Yzerman. It is not fire Lalonde, and it's not moving anybody. Like, that's not the answer. It's definitely not the answer. So, I don't know what this team needs to do to get back into it. Because they looked good for pretty much all of the Vegas game. And I'm hoping they can carry that into Buffalo, because Buffalo hasn't been an easy task by any means for anybody this season. So, yeah, their upcoming schedule is far, far easier than what just happened. On Tuesday, they got Buffalo. Thursday is Arizona at home again, and then Buffalo at home again on that Saturday. That Saturday is also the PWHL game, which I will be attending. If any of you are there, look for me. If you even know what I look like, you can find out on Twitter, on twitter.com/the_MexCanadian, or just at the MexCanadian. Nobody types in URLs anymore. So that's their next 3 for next week. They really need to stay in this thing completely. They almost need to win every single one of these games, but if you come out with 4 of 6 points from these 3 games, then you'll be in solid shape, because you really need to win 2 to 3 out of every game. The ratio you really need to win to make the playoffs at this point, I'm pretty sure it was like 3 to 1. So the Red Wings are capable of it. We know they're capable of it. Their schedule coming up is one of the easiest in the entire East. So, like, even their April looks easy. They have they have Tampa Bay and the Rangers the first week, but then it goes Buffalo, Washington, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and then their last 2 games of the season are both against Montreal. So, they have to win at least 2 out of these next 3 games. And hopefully, my preference would obviously be for them to win them all. But you need to. I would like for them to at least win the away game at Buffalo and the home game against Arizona. So that way they're not on a 6-game losing streak, because that is not optimal. And yeah, that was the Red Wings week in review. And what's next? My theories on what's going on, because like I said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the hell happened with this team, except for one major thing: the garbage patch. Yep, that's right. The Detroit Red Wings are on a 5-game losing streak directly after the Detroit Red Wings and Chris Illich sold out the team and their beautiful, the best jerseys in the entirety of sports, to a garbage company. That is what happened. And you know what? I'm more than happy blaming the garbage patch, because it is the garbage patch's fault, as far as I'm concerned. This, a lot of people don't think that something like this matters to teams, but it does. Like, when you take a jersey so incredibly coveted by the entire hockey universe, the entire hockey world, the sport of hockey covets the Red Wings logo and jersey so much. I'm pretty sure it's the only jersey that really hasn't changed ever. And, the logo's never changed. I mean, there were some minor changes and stuff like that. Like, the wheel was fat at one point and stuff like that. But it's been the same logo for the entire time, for its entire existence. And when you go and put a jersey sponsor on there, and not just any jersey sponsor, a fucking garbage company, it's... You gotta think that... You can't help but think that the team isn't gonna look at that and be like, wow, they think our jerseys and our team is worth that much that they put a garbage company on it? No. A lot of players are really passionate about their team, obviously. It goes without saying how passionate a lot of players are about their team, or else they wouldn't have signed with that team, or they wouldn't be playing for that team. And it's just, you can't help but see the correlation. You can't help but notice that the moment the garbage patch was put on, this team's play plummeted. Now, yes, that does also kind of conveniently line up with Larkin being injured. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Take the fucking garbage patch off. It's an experiment that hasn't worked. I gave them credit for it not being, just a patch, and they actually, sewed it in. They actually embroidered it into the fucking jersey. I gave them credit for that, but I'm not giving them any more credit for anything. Because it's not working. Straight up, it's not working. It's gotten to the point where it's is it worth it? Is it worth priority to have it on there? I don't know. And I hate it so much. I genuinely fucking hate it. But other than that, Larkin's injury, like I said, has crippled this team. They said it was a lower body injury. He was going to be out for 2 weeks. So there is a possibility that he could be at the Pittsburgh game. Maybe if it's pushed, he could maybe even push it to the Buffalo game. But yeah, it's the team's going to have to fucking find something deep in them and dig to get this started again. And not only that, does this team deserve to make the playoffs? I don't know. If they can't win a game without Larkin in the game, then no, it doesn't. This team has to find a way to win at least 2 out of their next 3. And it's gotta be convincing. I don't know. Actually, I don't even care if it's convincing. They just gotta win. Just win. That's all you gotta do is win, baby. Just win, baby. And like I said, if they can't win until Larkin comes back, then A, they're not making the playoffs anyways, because that's 3 more wins. That would be 8-game losing streak. And B, they don't deserve it anyways. If Larkin being out takes this team down so badly, then they don't deserve the playoffs. They don't. Genuinely, they don't. it's pretty obvious they don't, because the playoffs are an animal, and people are going to get injured in the playoffs, and they're going to have to play through it. But if you lose a guy during the playoffs and you can't play without them, you're fucked. So, yeah, I don't know if this team deserves the playoffs or not. I'm still kind of leaning on the side that they do, but it's dwindling. The seesaw is tilting very quickly, and I don't know how much longer I can keep it from tilting the other way. So, that is the Red Wings in review. Now we're going to get into the big stuff, like the trade deadline. So, the trade deadline was pretty fucking hectic. There were a lot of moves, and not all of them small. So, the trade deadline, most of your big teams geared up, and some of your bubble teams didn't. Most of your bubble teams didn't. Detroit didn't do anything except move Kostin, which was a bit of a shock, but it just didn't work out here in Detroit. So they moved him to San Jose for, what was his, Radim Simic, if I'm remembering his name correctly. They moved Kostin for him and a 7th round pick, which was New Jersey's 7th round pick. It just didn't work for Kostin here. The rumors that from Yzerman's presser that he did after the trade deadline was done was Kostin wanted a bigger role with the team, and he wasn't going to get that by being sidelined the entire time. So, essentially, it was a what's good for the player type deal. What's best for the player. And we'll miss you, Klim the Dream, our Russian Badger, essentially. And he did some good things with the team. He had, I think, what was it? He had 4 points or something like that with the team. So, yeah, he wasn't necessarily, he wasn't not producing, but yeah, he just wasn't breaking the lineup, unfortunately. So it was what was best for him, and we got the captain of the San Jose Barracudas. Oddly enough, we got rid of the cap from Kostin, and yeah, it was really just a what's best for the player and best for the team thing. That's all it was. So going into the rest of the trade deadline, there were a lot of moves. Biggest of being Vegas and Colorado. Vegas and Colorado made some moves. Probably the most shocking ones were San Jose getting David Edstrom and a first-round pick from Vegas for Thomas Hertl, with San Jose retaining $1.3 million of his $6.7 million salary, a third and with a 2025 third round and a 2027 third round pick from San Jose. And Hertl's got a 6-year contract, 6 years left on his contract. So San Jose is going to be paying an extra $1.3 million for 6 years. So that was a good move on both ends, because nobody expected Thomas Hertl to move. That was a big shock. The other one that kind of shocked everybody was the Buffalo and Colorado deal, where Buffalo got Casey Middlestat and Colorado, or no, Buffalo didn't get Casey Middlestat went to Colorado and Bowen Byram went to Buffalo. That's how it went. It was just a 1-for-1 swap. That's all it was. But no one expected Byron to move. I guess people were expecting Middlestat to move. But there were some big names that didn't really move, that a lot of people expected to move. Guys like Buchnevich, Brian Rust was on the block. There was some people talking about Zegras. So, there was a few big guys that didn't move that people expected to. And yeah, but Vegas and Colorado bulked up. If I can find where I put this stuff. Vegas got, during the trade deadline, they got Thomas Hurdle, Noah Hannafin, and Anthony Mantha. Those are the names that they got. They beefed up for the playoffs. They are definitely 100% trying to... they're trying to get this back to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's obvious. And Colorado is 100% trying to do the same thing. They also made some pretty big moves. Sorry, I am searching CapFriendly right now. There it is. I'm a one-man show, you guys. So they got Ben Myers from Anaheim. They got Hansel they got a 5th-round pick from Anaheim. Then they got Taranen and Sward from the Predators. They got Duhaime from Minnesota. They got Middlestat from Buffalo. They got Sean Walker from Philly. They got Bardakov from New Jersey. I don't even know who that is. They moved Thomas Tatar. That was earlier. Some of these were earlier in the week as well. But, yeah, they moved a lot to get back into the Stanley Cup Finals. So, it's going to be wild when these two teams meet each other in the conference finals. Like, it's going to be fun. Granted, it'll be very fun. Because as it stands in the West, Vegas has 75 points. So they are in the second wild card spot behind Nashville. And Colorado is 10 points ahead of them. So these two teams could very well meet in the conference finals. And that'll be very fun. But, yeah, It was a bit shocking that Yzerman didn't try to make any moves, but at the same time it wasn't shocking because everybody at the time believed that the smart move by Yzerman would be to stand pat. He's got a good team, which makes this 5-game losing streak even more fucking baffling. But yeah, it's interesting to see all these trades and see who's clearly beefing up for a run in the playoffs. Tampa made some moves. They got Matt Dumba and Anthony Duclair. New Jersey made some moves, even though their playoff hopes are pretty much fucking dashed at this point. They're at 66 points. And then, yeah, they got Capo Kakinen and Josh Allen, I believe, from Montreal and San Jose, respectively. Or Jake Allen, not Josh Allen. Jake Allen, with 50% retained. So that was good on the Devils. So they've got two solid goaltenders. Capo Kakinen was a bit of a surprise. I thought for sure San Jose would be shopping around Blackwood, which they may have been, but I thought people would be going for Blackwood more than Capo Kakinen, just because Mackenzie Blackwood's been phenomenal for that team, and he's kept them in more games than they should have been in. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the trade deadline. Nothing else too major. The Maple Leafs didn't make dick for moves. Like, they made moves for 7th defenseman again, and nobody else was really making any giant moves. I mean, Jack Roslovic went to the Rangers. Jake Gensel went to Carolina. That was a pretty big one. He was a guy that a lot of people were hoping Detroit would get. And other than that, nothing major. Pittsburgh's starting to gear up for a rebuild, it looks like, or just a retool, maybe, because they got Bunting from Carolina in the Gensel deal. They got some AHL guys, and Cruz Lucius, who they got his signing rights. So, yeah, other than that, nothing major. Just, like I said, more teams getting geared up to make runs in the playoffs. Obviously, there was the big one that Tanev went to Dallas a few weeks ago. I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, the trade deadline was exciting. I know it doesn't sound like it from me, but I'm horrible at explaining trades and getting excited for them when my team's not involved. So, plus, Detroit really made their big move in the middle of the season by signing Patrick Kane. So, yeah, the playoffs are going to be fun this year, whether the Wings make it or not. The West especially should be fun, because the East, everyone's kind of just expecting and planning on Florida to be the team. Granted, a lot of people thought that with Boston, too, and if you win the President's Trophy, it's pretty much just a fucking curse. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup. But there was a difference between the Boston team from last year and the Florida team from this year. The Boston team from last year just beat the ever-living shit out of you with offense and had stellar goaltending, and then their defense was fantastic. Basically their whole plan was give the puck to Pastrnak when he was out there, rely on the defense to keep the puck out of the zone, and if that all fails, old Mark and Swayman will save it. And that was their primary plan, pretty much their entire plan that entire season. This season, Florida is just beating the ever-living shit out of you. They are a team full of pricks who don't give a damn about anyone but themselves. So, and they do it with skill as well as physicality. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. I don't know who's going to win. Honestly, I don't know who's going to win the Stanley Cup. Out of the East, I'm predicting Florida's going to make it, and the West is pretty much up in the air because anyone can make it. Dallas looks strong, Colorado looks strong, Vegas looks strong. Winnipeg looks strong again. There's so many teams in the West that could come out of it, so yeah, but that's going to... one more big thing with the trade deadline. Ottawa lost. Ottawa just lost the trade deadline, and I'm pretty confident in saying that because they made... And it wasn't necessarily their fault. They didn't have much control over the situation thanks to Pierre Dorian. Pierre Dorian left that team a fucking mess. So if you guys... Sorry, I've been yawning all day. This time change has fucked me up. But if you guys remember, one of their biggest free agent signing last season was Vladimir Tarasenko. And it was a pretty decent signing because they had just lost DeBrincat. And they were like, alright, let's bring in Tarasenko and also use Kubalik, and that will equal out the amount of goals you get from DeBrincat. And that did not happen, first of all. But also, what Pierre Dorian ended up doing was giving Tarasenko a full no-trade clause. So what ended up happening was Vladimir Tarasenko waived his no-trade clause for a single team. And that was the Florida Panthers. And the Florida Panthers knew that Vladimir Tarasenko had the Ottawa Senators over a fucking barrel. So what they got for who was presumed to be the best winger, or the second best winger on the market for, right behind Gensel. And it was funny because a lot of Sens fans saw the Mantha trade where they got him a second or something like that from Vegas. And they were all like, there's no way that Tarasenko isn't worth a first-round pick. And what did they get? A 2024 fourth-round pick, a conditional 2024 fourth-round pick, by the way. That condition is that it upgrades to a 2026 third-round pick if Florida wins the Stanley Cup in 2023. And then a 2025 third-round pick. So essentially, what they ended up doing was getting a fourth-round, guaranteed 2024 fourth-round and 2025 third-round pick. Or if Florida wins the Stanley Cup this season, they get a 2026 third-round pick and a 2025 third-round pick for Vladimir Tarasenko, the man that every Sens fan on Twitter would say was worth a first-round pick. And it's it just makes me smile. It's so funny. Like, because this team's not going to make the playoffs either. Like, they're pretty close to being eliminated from contention at this point. And it's sad to see because that team has so much talent. But at the same time, it's just, wow. It's incredible to watch. So, yeah, with that being said, I want to give you guys a look into the playoff picture right now after tonight so far. The wild cards are currently occupied by Tampa Bay and the Islanders. Detroit falls out of the second wild card spot after the Islanders win tonight, and they can still get back in. Honestly, it's very possible that Detroit gets in on a technicality as long as they win their next few games here. Not even because they passed the Islanders, but just because the Islanders passed Philadelphia. So if the Red Wings can win 2 of their next 3, and Philly loses another game, then they will be in the second wild card spot, and they will be contending with Philadelphia, essentially. So what I was hoping would happen this season is that, for a little while now, is that Detroit would be able to keep their pace ahead of Philly, and they just haven't been able to do that consistently. So the hope for the playoffs is not yet dead for me. I will still root for this team no matter what, and yeah, that's about all I can say on that. Some minor-ish Lions news. Jalen Reeves-Maybin was elected president of the NHLPA earlier this week, on March 8th, actually, the same day as the trade deadline. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, obviously, is currently a linebacker for the Lions. He was a member of the executive committee for the past 2 seasons, and he was just elected president of the NFLPA by the Board of Player Representatives. So, good on Reeves-Maybin. I hope he's able to do with that what he can and make the game better. I guess, I don't know what they do there. But good on him, regardless. So, yeah, other than that, I don't have much to say. All I can say now is my final thoughts on the Red Wings right now is just win again. You just need one win to be able to get out of the slump and keep stacking them up. Just play passable hockey against these upcoming teams, and you should win. That's all you got to do until Larkin comes back, and then you can get back to playing exceptional hockey, because apparently Larkin is the only reason this team can play exceptional hockey. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to the Red, Orange, and Blue podcast. Once again, I am your host, the Mexinadian. You can follow me at _Mexinadian. You can follow the podcast at RORBpod, all on Twitter. And we will talk to you guys in the next episode. Adios.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare.